So, what we're going to, are you guys dancing?
Yeah, I'm just looking
A musical ball.
and people can use that chair if they want.
So, a musical chair and a musical ball. Alright.
Musical space.
So, what I would like to dive into now is exploration of connecting with certain energy resources. Obviously, this is something that is going to happen in the course of the coaching program, so that we don't offer this before the person actually becomes a bona fide coaching client. We offer this after the person already enrolled in the coaching program and started working with us in the coaching capacity. How do we do this? Well, first of all, why would we do this? The principle is really simple. For any dream to manifest, or for any experience to that matter, to manifest, there needs to be an energy that would support the manifestation of that experience or the dream. Once again, for any dream or any experience to manifest, there needs to be an energy available to support the manifestation of that dream or that experience. If you provide that energy, or at least part of it, some of it can be provided by environment, some of it can be provided by other parties involved, but if you contribute energy to the manifestation of this particular event or dream, then you'll experience it. If you don't contribute any energy to the manifestation of this event, most likely somebody else will experience this event, whoever contributed energy to its manifestation. If nobody did, then most likely this event is not going to happen. It includes natural events. So people say, but what about earthquakes? Well, obviously somebody or something contributes that energy to the manifestation of an earthquake. Earth is not going to start shaking without energy. Now, it can be the earth, it can be a certain zeitgeist, the energy of time, so it doesn't just shake whenever it shakes at a particular time when the pressure within the crust has built up to a certain level. So in other words, there is energy that makes it happen. Now, what kind of energy would you need to contribute to the manifestation of your dreams?
Wait, what kind of energy?
Yes.
So is this a question to ask them, or are you just posing this to us as a general question?
Well, exactly. So this is the question that I like to ask my coaching clients. What kind of energy would you need to contribute to manifestation of your dreams? And usually they say, well, heck, how do I know? And then we do a little exercise. So the exercise is something I already mentioned earlier. Imagining them achieving this dream and perceiving themselves from the flies on the wall's perspective. And the fly doesn't care about the appearance, it only pays attention to the energy of the person. Now what's interesting is that the energy in that particular moment in time will be not necessarily the same as the energy that contributed to the manifestation. It may be the energy associated with the accomplishment of that manifestation. Maybe they're celebrating. Well, obviously, to celebrate something takes different energy as compared to the energy that it takes to achieve something. And so then we have to actually backtrack a little bit. Say a day or a week before this dream manifests. Let's visualize being able to perceive yourself from a third party's perspective at that point in time. So in other words, it's like watching a movie, and you can fast forward or rewind a little bit. And so what you do is you fast forward to a year from now, for instance, but then rewind to about a week before the end of the year. And then, again, ask the coaching client to observe themselves from the third party's perspective, for example, a fly on the wall, and observe the energy Now that is most likely going to be the energy that was contributing to the manifestation of this dream. How would you need to be in order to manifest a dream? That's another question that pertains or relates directly to the previous one.
How would you need to be?
Yeah, and that would be less about the quality of energy as much as the quality of character, the quality of the person's state of consciousness or psyche. For example, I would need to be focused, or I need to be committed, or I need to be energetic, or I need to be creative. So basically the person would start tapping into a little bit of understanding of how the qualities of their character, the qualities of their psyche would contribute to the manifestation of their dream. And then I ask one of my favorite questions. Where in your body would you find the energy associated with these qualities? So again, the same energy that we can perceive from the flies on the wall perspective. Now we know the qualities that is associated. And now we're asking the person, where in your body would you find that energy? Sometimes it may not even be in the body. Sometimes it may be somewhere in the aura around it, which is fine too. Sometimes it may be a particular part of the body, or the whole big side of the body, or the whole half of the body, or whatever. That's quite fine. Essentially what we're looking for is identifying where the energy can be found. Because then, exactly, we can find the kinesthetic anchor, and we can also gather some of that energy. Essentially, it would be even a good idea to find out whether or not they have this energy in the present moment. Because we don't want to do anything that is not necessary. If the person already has plenty of that energy in the present moment, then they just need to keep applying the energy, then we can skip the next exercise entirely. If they don't have this energy, or they don't have it enough in the present moment, then we'll do the exercise. So we can ask them, well, let's rewind this movie about your life back to the present moment. And from fly on the wall perspective, do you find any of this energy in your system right now? And if so, where? And how much?
Isn't that essentially the same question as where in your body would you find the energy?
Yes, but now we're talking about the present moment. So we have asked the person, the coaching client, to rewind the movie about their life to the present moment and ask them the exact same question.
So the first time you asked it was about the dream state?
And that was about a week or several days prior to achievement of the dream. In other words, we're focusing on finding what kind of energy would be capable of supporting the manifestation of the dream. Now we're looking at the present moment. Do we have any of this energy available now? If yes, if there's plenty of this energy, great. 99% of cases, there's going to be less of this energy presently than it would be in that future state. So some people won't find any of this energy in the present moment. For example, creativity, what is that? But they probably have some of it. Why? Because most likely they wouldn't even be able to create the dream if they didn't have any of this energy at all in the present moment. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, That's cool. That means that there is something to work with. And what we do is one of several things. My favorite exercise in this particular case would be going to the future again and connecting with that vision from the fly on the wall perspective, perceiving themselves a week or so before the manifestation of that dream that they aspire to manifest, identifying the energy that was responsible for its manifestation, and gathering some of it. It can be just a little cup, it can be a bottle, it can be a bucket. I like a bucket. It's almost like a paint bucket.
So you're asking them to find and gather that, or to visualize finding and gathering that energy
Yes,
in the future?
exactly.
Okay.
And once they have collected some of this energy, ask them to take the journey back to the present moment, bringing some of this energy paint with them. And quite literally painting more of this energy paint. That color, that part of the body where it finds its home. So basically creating both the energetic shift as well as building or establishing kinesthetic anchor. Because what happens is that the person basically will start feeling like, oh yeah, this part of my body is like the energy resource. I can tap, like for example, wow, this shoulder, maybe this shoulder has some creativity energy. So I just need to pat myself on the shoulder, and I actually feel like I'm connecting with this energy of creativity in my body.
So, in other words, you're asking them to visualize themselves maybe in 1 week, to collect that energy, and then to bring that energy back into the present moment and infuse that body part with it?
Yes, not in 1 week, a week prior to the end of the program.
Oh, okay.
A week prior to reaching your dream.
Okay, okay.
So for example, if you start a coaching program in the middle of, let's say, the beginning of the year, in January 1st, and this is a year-long program, then you ask them to look at the end of the year, where they purportedly manifest their dream. What would it look like if you manifest a dream? How would you know that you manifested it? Okay, now let's backtrack 1 week prior, so it would be December 24th, let's say Christmas Eve or whatever. And you look at energy that you would need to have at that time in order, so that you putting that energy in completing the manifestation of your dream. Maybe it's not the best time, maybe Christmas time is not the best time to manifest the dreams because you may be preoccupied with something else, I don't know, family obligations, or travel, or what have you. So you can backtrack a little bit further, maybe middle of December, to find the time when you actually are working on completing that particular dream that you assigned to yourself. Make sense?
Not really.
Which part of it doesn't make sense? Timeline?
So, yeah, so we are asking them to envision the energy from 1 week prior to them achieving their dream.
Yes.
Then, do we have them bring it back to the present moment or to some other time?
Then we're bringing it to the present moment.
Okay, okay.
So we gather the energy associated with the qualities that would contribute to the manifestation of the dream. For example, creativity, or being energetic, or being determined, or something else. Bring this energy into the present moment and paint that part of the body where they found this energy in the future
Okay,
in the present moment.
okay. So it's like a reverse echo. Instead of the echo coming from the source, it's
Coming
the
from the
echo
future.
becomes the source. Something like that.
Yeah, your dream becomes the source of the energy. Now, sometimes the person may also say, well, you know, I'm having a hard time visualizing, or I'm having a hard time identifying what kind of energy would be associated with manifestation of that dream, then I often ask this type of question: have you ever manifested a similar dream or achieved a similar kind of accomplishment? And if the person has achieved this type of accomplishment, him or herself already, for example, have you ever been as satisfied with your health as you aspire to be? If so, when was that? Maybe the person was 20 years old when they were particularly satisfied with their health and wellness. Thank you. All right.
So have you ever achieved a similar dream?
Yes. Or achieved a similar level of satisfaction that you aspire to achieve. Maybe the person had a similar level of satisfaction with their intimate relationships. Let's say maybe they were married at some point and then got divorced or widowed or something else happened. Okay, well, if there was a certain point in time when they had this energy that would be similar to the dream energy, this is even better because they have already experienced it. They've already established a certain degree of neural pathways in their brains associated with being that way, acting the way that the energy requires.
Okay.
Well, then we ask them to go into the past. So the journey can happen in either future or the past direction.
Hey, did you have a question?
Yeah, and you can
Makes
collect
sense.
energy from the past, just like you can collect energy from the future yourself. I did that experiment exercise, for example, with my father when we were in the Canary Islands.
God, that was so cool. It was so beautiful.
Thanks.
Still watching him, like in the moonlight, right at night, just pouring that
Uh-huh.
energy. I knew exactly. I just peeked out to see what you guys were up to. Like,
Mhm.
where are they? Time for bed, you know. And it was so beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And like I knew exactly what he was doing, and it was. I felt almost like roomy,
Huh.
is what I saw, like the energy of that.
Really?
Oh God, beautiful.
Yeah, and since it's not standard Qigong, he is not familiar with these techniques. So it was a totally new experience for him.
And the next morning, I mean, his energy has shifted.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you can see it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So your father didn't practice?
He practiced Qigong, but he is not familiar with Qigong coaching.
Oh, I see.
So in his coaching session with his son, they engaged in this practice, or I
Mhm.
guess his father's goal was helped, was part of that process.
Right. He's
And I
turning 80
peeked out, yeah.
years of age this year, so
Really.
that's some issues.
Anyway,
Great. Now,
fast.
some people have never experienced it, and they cannot use themselves, obviously, as the role model of that energy, or the source of that energy. That's fine. We can look for other people who have experienced something of that kind. Like we were talking about success leaving clues. Well, even better than clues. We can also look at the person who achieved success and identify what kind of energy was responsible for their success in this particular arena.
Okay, so the question that we would ask is, do you have any role models that have achieved something the same or similar to what you seek to achieve? And what energy do you attribute that success to?
Exactly.
Okay.
And guess what we'll do next?
Can we finish
I'll
reading
start
first?
with me first.
We collect the energy. Gather it in the pain buckets. And bring it into the present moment. And again, paint this part of the body of the coaching client that's responsible, or that can be the home for that energy. If the person has no idea where the home for that energy might be, we just simply allow the energy to find its own home. In other words, instead of manipulating it, we actually let it flow where it needs to flow. there may be variations in the theme. For example, I had a client who was kind of a little challenging, so he said, well, no matter how much energy I pour into myself, it just kind of goes through my hollow leg into the ground.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Hollow leg, huh?
yeah. But then he actually discovered that there was some energy still stuck to the hollow leg and painting the leg, and so that became his energy resource.
Okay. So for the role model exercise, would we have them visualize collecting the paint from that role model, or visualizing themselves as the role model collecting paint from themselves?
Collecting the paint from the role model.
Okay.
Collecting the energy from the role model. Now, where in the role model's body that energy can be found most abundantly is often an optimal placement of that energy in the coaching client's body. I can't say it's going to be 100% of the time, but there's a high likelihood of that. And the role model doesn't necessarily have to be the role model in each and every aspect of life. It may be this particular part of the pie chart. So for example, if there is somebody who wants to become like a world-class golfer, and they say, well, Tiger Woods is my role model. Well, it doesn't have to be a role model in each and every aspect of life, because he screwed up in more than one. However, he is obviously a kick-ass golfer, so that could be the energy to collect that is associated specifically with the subject of our exploration.
Alright, so you can tell your client that they can feel free to pick and choose what specific kind of energy is relevant for them.
Exactly, yes. And essentially what we're looking for is not just picking and choosing, because how are they going to choose? Using their mental capacity is very difficult, because if they don't have a lot of experience with energy, they'll have no idea how to choose. So we simply ask them which of the energy within the body or the energy system of this role model is responsible or is associated with the qualities that we would need in order to manifest our dream in this particular area of life, sphere of life. And so that is how we figure out, okay, well, maybe the energy of courage. Well, where do we find that energy? Well, let's take a look at a role model of courage who we may think of as a person who's got a lot of courage. Where does this person have energy? What kind of energy is it? And where in the person's body can we find it? And then we just simply borrow some of that energy and paint our part of the body, similar part of the body, in that energy paint. It can be a role model that is not even alive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody from the past. I had one client who told me that his role model was James Bond. So he actually tapped into the James Bond's energy. I had a Chinese client who was telling me that he resonated with the energy of a dragon, the Chinese dragon. And I said, all right, let dragon be your role model. From a fly on the wall perspective, where in the dragon's body do you find that energy related to wisdom? He was particularly looking for wisdom, okay? And so basically yes, so we found the energy associated with wisdom, brought it into this guy's body. He was quite happy with that. So basically, it's like there's a variety of options. There's a lot of variations on the theme. We can get creative with this, and also, most importantly, just practice thinking on our feet.
So he was like a role model, a symbol.
Symbol,
I would say
The dragon's a symbol.
yeah, you could say that's a symbol, yeah. You can say maybe
archetype.
Mm-hmm.
archetype, yeah.
Could be real.
Yeah, it's just
I know everything.
The jester,
Mini get the gecko.
yeah. All right, so do you guys have any questions about this particular technique or exercise?
Alright, I just want to clarify.
Mhm.
Whether it's in the future or in the past, you have the person visualize a role model or a moment in their own life or something where they see themselves achieving what they want to achieve or that energy, and then you have them gather that energy from that specific part of the body where they sense it,
Mhm.
bring it back to the present moment, and infuse that part of the body in their own frame.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah, you got it.
Coaching aside, I'm curious, how often do you think it's a good idea to practice this?
If it holds, then it often is enough just doing it once. If one time wasn't enough, it can be repeated. It also may be the case that the person needs to go through a series of energetic transformations in order to get to where they need to be. So we may go not only a year from now to see how we can manifest that dream. We also can work with the intermediate milestones, maybe 3 months from now, or maybe just a week from now. In other words, what kind of dream do you need to manifest 3 months from now in order to be on the right track and feel like you're going in the right direction, being able to manifest your further dreams? Now, in order to manifest this 3-month milestone, let's go and take a look at yourself from a flies on the wall perspective. Identify what kind of energies would be responsible for being able to manifest that particular milestone or that particular dream. Let's get at that energy and paint bucket, bring it to the present moment. We can do this as many times as we need to do, basically because there may be different milestones that require different energies. Makes sense, right? Cool. It may also be easier and easier each time. The first time you do this with somebody who's completely unfamiliar with this, they will be bewildered and often confused, and you have to take really a significant amount of time to just kind of walk them hand by hand through this step. Once they get it, and they see that it actually has significant effect on their psyche and their ability to perform, they will be much quicker on uptake. And that's basically another quality of consciousness that we also look for quite a great deal, and that is being a quick learner. So that learning ability, something that we also will be exploring this afternoon, is going to matter a great deal. And we want to learn how to learn well. And so that is also something that affects a person's coachability. So when we were talking about coachability, I said, well, let's not throw away the baby with bathwater. Let's not just say, oh, the person is not coachable enough, and we just send them home. Sometimes if they're kind of on the cusp of becoming coachable, we can actually help them become coachable. So we can enhance the ability to be open-minded. We can empower them to become a quick learner. We can provide them certain skills and techniques that would help them learn from their past problems or mistakes and realize that those are great learning opportunities. So then basically they will be more capable of taking responsibility for their experiences. They will be much more capable of being coachable and become a more ideal client for you. Cool. It's pretty amazing. You can actually turn somebody into your ideal client. All right. If you don't have any more questions, I would like to ask you to grab a partner, perhaps somebody you haven't practiced with today, and we're gonna do this practice. We're gonna take just 10 minutes per person and then trade roles. And in this 10 minutes, one person who assumes the role of a coach asks their partner, what's the dream that you would like to manifest? Let's say by the end of this year. And what kind of energy would be responsible for manifestation of this dream? What are the qualities of consciousness or qualities of your character or some other abilities that you would need to have for sure in order to make this dream come true? And then we ask them to fast forward the movie about their life and imagine being able to perceive themselves from flies in the wall perspective. And again, find an energy that is associated with these qualities, gather it into big buckets, and bring it into the present moment. If 10 minutes is not enough, well, try to do not for much longer, but maybe 11 or 12 minutes is still acceptable amount of time. If it's still not enough, well, maybe 15 minutes. I'm not going to rush you, but I want you to be mindful of how much time it takes. Okay? Great. Let's do it. You guys look bewildered.